Hello, YouTube. Just waiting for TikTok people to turn up. What time is it? Alexa, put home screen on. Hello. Lazy. That was someone's handle here on YouTube, on TikTok. Anyway, while we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada, and I just turned my dishwasher on. I don't know why. Every time I turn my dishwasher on, I come and do a live with the dishwasher going in the background. I don't know why I do that. Anyway, I'm in Vancouver, Canada. Where are you? Kingston, Ontario. Hi, Kingston. Welcome, Michelle. You've been here before, haven't you, Michelle? Okay. Trying to remember the names. I know a lot. I got a lot of regulars. Yes. Okay, where are you from? I know it's summer. It's a real slow time right now, especially with the weather being so nice. I am sure you're outside having fun. Or you might be outside watching the kids and you've tuned in from the park or something. Anyway, I might just get going anyway. And I've hardly got any. I've got like 18 people here. So I usually wait till I get about 100, but 18, that's fine. Okay. Anyway, if you go in my link there, I've got everything I've got to offer is in there. You can get my free behavior board, buy one of my courses. The 5 weeks to get respect is the sort of between 3 and 12-year-olds. And then you can hire me for coaching. That's any age. I specialize in teenagers, but I talk about all ages. So, okay, let's get going. What do you do when a 1-year-old has these loud anger fights? A 1-year-old having a loud anger fight. I don't know what you mean by that. And sibling rivalry. The best way to get your kids to connect with each other and learn how to have fun together is when you do it as a family unit. And you don't play anything competitive where there's a winner and a loser. You just do silly stuff. Temper tantrums. Yeah, I've got a whole course on that if you're interested. It's just called Toddler Tantrum Busting or something. Anyway, it's a whole course on that. You just ignore tantrums completely. You ignore the crazy and reward the calm. Any attention is reward. And it will make the tantrum get longer. Worse in intensity, and yeah, they're just talking or looking at a kid or talking to them during a tantrum just fuels it. It's fuel for the fire. Okay, sibling rivalry. Yeah, like I said, you a lot of clients sort of say, well, I do sorry, I've got my dishwasher going. I don't know why I do this. I set my dishwasher on, then I come and do a live. And it's at the noisiest part, right at the very beginning. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, a lot of people say, well, I do the one-on-one time with each kid. No, you don't do that, because then how are they going to get along? You want to have a harmonious family unit. So if everything's going great, then you can do one-on-one time. But if it isn't, don't do any of that. They're going to get jealous. You spent one more minute with him than you did with me. It just builds resentment, if anything. So yeah, have fun with them all, but it's not competitive. No games where there's a winner and a loser. Avoid Monopoly. Geez, that game, I always wanted to like that game, but it's like within the first round, you know exactly who the winner's going to be, and then everyone else is just tortured just watching one person get rich. Talk about capitalism. Like, it's just the worst game. It's been around forever, but there's always one clear winner right at the start, and everyone else is miserable just waiting for the game to end. Because when you have no hope in winning, I don't actually care if I win or lose, but I like to have some hope. But yeah, it depends on what you land on. So there's a lot of dumb luck in Monopoly. Okay. There's this comedian. I can't remember which one it was. I got a few comedians I like. Anyway, he was saying, you know how you ruin a family? Was it Scruples? Yeah, he said, just pull out a game of Scruples, family ruined. I think I have that game. It's a good one. It's late in Europe. Always a pleasure to see you. And TikTok's excellent. Thank you so much. I know I'm saying it wrong. Sorry about that. I'm half French, so I don't know why. The Montse, is that French? Don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm just waiting for parenting questions. It's a relatively small group, so I should be able to answer absolutely every single question. So that's good. Biggest group I ever had on here in one live was 26,000 people. And I was brand new at this. And Spanish. Oh, Montserrat. Yeah, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Sorry about that. Spanish, Montserrat. Okay. Figure I can't seem to learn another language. I seem to have some mental block with that. I don't know what's wrong with me. But okay. A niece and nephew. Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't teach aunting and uncling. I just teach parenting. So anything I tell you, if the parents don't like it, that's not. You see what I'm saying? I don't teach that because the final where everything's the parents or the guardians are the ones who are in charge of the kids. So I only give instructions or suggestions to them. Went to IHOP and kiddo 6 had a meltdown. Took him outside and cleaned the fake dirt from my nails. Clean the fake dirt. Good for you. Did you feel sort of proud when you were doing that? I love that. It was so hard, but once I started deep breathing to regulate myself, he calmed. Yeah, they're not listening to you. They really aren't. They're watching your body language. When they're having a tantrum, they're like, is this going to work or not? And once they realize it's never going to work, they just stop having them, especially at 6. It was horrible at first. Yeah, of course it is. You always got to be willing to climb that mountain before you can slide down the other side, right? You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. It's always going to get worse before it gets better. I got a million analogies with that. Anyway, but yeah, it's usually going to get harder before it gets easier because they're like, I know the old you and I got away with a lot more. So I'm just going to up it. I'm going to win. That's sort of, but then they learn. Horrible for me, LOL internally. Well, I like the fake dirt under your nails. That's a good one. Because what you're talking about there, in case other people don't know, is when a kid's having a tantrum, I used to always have a nail file because my son had tantrums. I would just stand there not looking at him, just filing my nails, just waiting. It's like, I'm right here. I'm waiting. But I wouldn't talk to someone or talk on my phone. I think that's dismissive. I want it to be very clear. I'm waiting. So as soon as you calm down, then I say something like this. Oh, y'all done? Okay, let's go. Like I don't discuss tantrums. You don't discuss them. It's like they're all just beneath you, everybody. They're just not something you even want to address. What's the point? I realized my emotions were on 10, fear, anxiety, and guilt. Weird. Yeah, but you're learning, right? This is a learning process. Every time we're changing ourselves, because you're becoming a leader when you do that. So anytime we change ourselves, our brains are geared for comfort and for the familiar. Anything new is, it's going to be stressful. What's his name? Joe Dispenza. He talks a lot about that, about becoming a different person in some ways, But yeah, he talks about that. He said our brains are geared for self-defense and staying the same familiarity because that's where we have the most power is in the familiar. And we have to be vulnerable to go to the unfamiliar. So yeah, you're very vulnerable when you're ignoring tantrums initially because you're afraid of your kid. Like you're afraid of what they're doing to you. But yeah, once you get past that, it's good. I love it when kids act out around me because I never really got to do that with my own kids much because they were pretty easy because I got respect when they were tiny. So when I'd have other kids around or I was looking after other people's kids, I loved it when they had a scene in front of me. I was like, oh, you don't know who you're dealing with here. I know how to take care of business. I know how to get respect. So yeah, it just builds confidence. Once you see it working, you just get empowered. I should tell this story. I've told this story so many times about this one client I had last year. Yeah, she was someone I didn't think would do very well. Sometimes I don't like to guess because I'm often wrong. I've learned that over the years. I've been doing this for 17 years, like coaching parents. And she was someone I thought, yeah, I kind of have my doubts. And I was trying to be really kind of gentle with her because she was really emotional. And then by week 3, she just got it. Something in her a light bulb went off and she just got it. And she was doing everything right. It was unbelievable. But she said, yeah, it is very, she realized she said, yes, this is hell. But she goes, God, it's worth it. And that 3rd week is when you really start to see a shift. If you're calm and you're consistent. Well, thanks so much for sharing. I really do appreciate that. That gives other people hope. Also, it's not just giving them hope. It's also showing that this is hard. That it's not like I just tell you this stuff and I think that you're going to go, okay, I'll do that. It'll be easy. It's not. It's hard. Change is very hard. Changing ourselves. Remember, it's not about the kids. It's about us. I don't teach kidding or toddlering or teenagering. I teach parenting. So it's never about the kids. Their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. So all you have to do is change your parenting. If you don't like their behavior, change your parenting. Set yourself up as a leader. That's all I teach is leadership. Leaders make kids feel good about themselves, and you're like a mentor more than anything. You don't yell. You're very calm. But you're goofy and fun when they're good, but when they're bad, that's when you're calm and you're just business-like. It's all trend. I didn't like what you just did. Here's what we're going to do. Do you understand? It's sort of like that. Very, very calm. You don't talk like that to toddlers, by the way. You don't talk to toddlers. It's a whole different thing. But anyway, but yeah, you set yourself up as a leader. You lead and they will follow. They're desperate for a leader. Desperate for it. Okay. Yeah, anyone who wants to share anything that you've done, even if you're struggling and it's not working, share. People want to know. Like, you're not, by the way, if you're really struggling and none of this stuff's working for you, you're not alone. Like, you're just not ready for it yet. It's like dieting. It's not that there's anything wrong with the diet. You're just not ready for it. But if you see other people who are struggling and give it a go anyway, that helps, I found. Do you think timeout works for a newly 2-year-old? I hate timeout, can't stand it, never did it, never will. I think it's humiliating. I don't like timeout. I don't use it. Children under 3, it's consistent corrective actions because they only learn through repetition. There's no words. You can maybe say the word no. If they hit, you say no, and you take that toy away or remove them, remove the other person, whatever. Has to be consistent, though, and it's corrective, and it's an action, not words. Those mini therapy sessions are garbage. And timeout, I think it's humiliating. I just think it's humiliating. You go over there, you're not even worth talking to. Then once you're done, then I'm going to talk about everything you just did wrong. It's just the whole thing is negative, negative, negative. It's just awful. They're not thinking about what they did. They're sitting in the corner feeling like crap about themselves. You don't want that. Sorry about that. I hate timeout. Can't stand it. Not that I have an opinion. It's just I've been doing this for so long. I'm old. I've learned timeout. It's just horrible. What are good discipline techniques when explaining to them don't work? Well, you don't explain to them. That's what you're doing. You're doing the therapy sessions, okay? That's why. You just say, here's a rule, here's a consequence. When they're 3 and over, when they're under 3, it's consistent corrective actions. There's no therapy sessions. And even with older kids, I don't do the therapy. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. I told you to take out the garbage and you didn't do that. How do you feel about yourself? What are you going to do next time? I would kick me to the curb. That's horrible. I just think that's awful. I would say, hey, you didn't get the garbage out last night. So what are you going to do for me? Give me a massage, brush my hair, make my bed, it's like that. It's that easy. It's just relaxed. It's not horrible. It's not mean. There's no anger in it. It's just, hey, look, you got to be accountable, right? I'm accountable. I mess up. I'm accountable to my kids too. Boy, was I accountable. And they knew it too. Boy, if I ever messed, they'd look at each other like this every single time. Because they knew I'd be making it up to them. They knew, they'd say, Mom, you messed up. And I go, I know. What do you want? We'd like to go to the water slide park after school tomorrow. Okay, fine. So it's mutual. It's got to be two-way street. Can't be a one-way street. That's the old-fashioned authority parent. The pleaser parent's even worse. That's the trend that's out right now. It's trying to make life easy for your kids, and you want them to like you. It's not a popularity contest here. I could care less if kids like me. If I'm doing the right thing and I'm teaching them right from wrong and guiding them in the right direction, I could care less how they think about me because it's not about me. It's about them. What do you do for hitting? I actually have a course on that. It is Toddlers Who Hit and Bite. It's the dumbest name for a course, but a lot of people have bought it and they say it works. So you might want to check that out. What am I looking at here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, if you're interested in that, but it's consistent corrective action. Every single time they hit, it's a consistent action. No words. Just say no and you take that toy away, whatever they hit with. Make sure there's a corrective action. It is not words. Words are useless with toddlers. And even older kids just say, broke the rule, here's the consequence. It is these therapy sessions that are agony. Do you know if you get a speeding ticket, does that cop stand there and give you a whole therapy session? No, you know what he says? He says, do you know why I pulled you over? And then you say something like, oh, I don't know, maybe I was speeding or whatever. And then he says, okay, well, I'm going to have to give you a ticket today. And then he says, well, have a nice day, drive carefully. He doesn't go on and on and on and on. It's demeaning. It's demeaning. There's no point in doing it at all. Okay. Yeah, that course I was just mentioning. I have 3 toddler courses just because I get asked about this stuff all the time. So they're mini courses. There's a toddler tantrum one, potty training course. That's the most popular. And then there is a toddlers biting, hitting, etc. course. And that's the one you might be interested in. If they hit and bite during a tantrum, that's the tantrum course. But if it's not during a tantrum and they just hit because they do, then that's the biting and hitting one. And then the Get Respect in 5 Weeks course, that's quite new. That one doesn't have the coaching in it right now because that filled up very quickly. So I offered it without the coaching, which I might keep it there from now on, because what's happening too is people seem to want the one-on-one coaching with that. And then you can just get that separately. Can you speak about teenagers that push boundaries? It's more your interpretation of teenagers. Are your boundaries fair and reasonable, and have they been negotiated with your teenager? The two most important skills with teenagers, they're my favorite age, by the way, with teenagers is listening to understand and show empathy, not to listen to gather information to lecture with. So you go, yeah, that would be frustrating, yeah, and then shut up. Boy, that's hard to do, but you get good at it, and then you just stop talking. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it. They probably already know it anyway. The more you learn how to listen to understand and show empathy without going further, that's, you just stop there, the more likely they are to tell you everything and to ask for your advice. It's just the way it goes. And then the second most important parenting skill with teenagers is negotiating. You negotiate pretty much everything. Mom, I'm going to a party tonight. Can I come home at 1? I was thinking more 11. Oh, how about 12? Meet in the middle. Sure, okay. It's like that. You know, that's how you do it. So, and the one-on-one coaching is almost, teenagers, it's almost always coaching. Do you do one-on-one coaching? Yeah, it's up above in the link up there. And teenagers, it's almost always one-on-one coaching. Just because, think about it, you've had history to get where you are. It's taken you probably 15, 18 years to get where you are. I need to know a little bit about history. I don't go into it that much, though. A little bit about history. And also, I would say about 50% of me coaching parents of teenagers is, and I'm not a therapist or a counselor, I have no qualifications. I'm just a parenting coach. But it's talking you off the ledge. It's your emotions that I have to deal with. About 50% of coaching with parents of teenagers is they're dealing with the parents' anger, hurt, guilt, frustration. That's a big part of it. So, and no parent who has a teenager ever likes what I say in that first session. I don't think one parent has ever liked what I say in that first session. Because you have to give way more than you get. And they always say, but that's not fair. And I say, I know, welcome to parenting teenagers. It's not fair. They're anything but fair and reasonable. So don't expect them to be. Your expectations of them are usually the part of the problem. Thank you for the gifter badge. I actually know what those things mean. I've been on here for 1.5 years now. About a year and a few months. TikTok doesn't really pay in Canada. But yeah, someone said, well, you know, you keep saying that you don't make any money on here, but check it out. I've made like, I think $200 in a year and a bit on TikTok. I didn't think I had any. Like, I didn't know what those gifts meant. I just thought, oh, thank you. It's just showing support. But yeah, there's actually some money out there in TikTok, but it's not like YouTube. You can't make a living on TikTok. Well, I guess some people do. I don't do advertising. The only thing I would consider advertising, and it's kind of I'm not saying you should do this, but I did cloth diapers with my kids. I would consider advertising with cloth diapers. That's probably the only thing I would probably consider doing, because it's not really controversial, and it's a choice. If you don't want to use them, don't. But I'm not trying to get the advertising going. I'm just saying I could maybe see myself doing that, but that's it, because I'm really pro cloth diapers. I'm having a hard time saying that because I raised my kids in Australia and they're nappies over there. So I've never raised babies in Canada. Hi, Mandy. My 2-year-old headbutts everything, and I've tried so many things to stop him at a loss. That might be the course that I have, toddlers biting, hitting, etc. But are they doing it more of an activity or more like just to be kind of mean? Like, it depends. If they just enjoy doing it, I would put a foam helmet on them. Say, if you're going to do that, you have to wear this. I'd give that a go. Lots of my clients have put foam helmets on their kids, and they say, yeah, they stop that behavior pretty quick. They do not want that foam helmet on. So it's just one. I've got lots of ideas. It's just one of my ideas. I did cloth until he started eating solids. Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. I just, I don't know. I just did it. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that I don't think it's an option that's looked at enough, because there's diaper services out there. where they come and they do all the cleaning for you too. What do I do about my daughter who keeps cutting her own hair? Well, how old is she? Why cloth diapers? Because the disposable ones are so bad for the environment. That's why. How old is your daughter, Cameron? When he does it when he's mad. Oh, if he does that, then put the toddlers, hitting, biting, etc. might be for you. It's about teenagers. It's about toddlers who get aggressive. That might be for you. It's a mini course. It's in the link up there. I don't know why it's on my screen over here, but it's actually in the link up there for you. 14. Okay, and she keeps cutting her own hair. Does it really matter? Like, you got to let some stuff go. If she keeps cutting her own hair, and she's 14, does it matter? Like, that wouldn't bother me. My son was about 16 probably, and he said he was kind of hanging out with a bit of a wilder crowd, and he wasn't wild, but they were funny. They were older and they were funny. Anyway, and so they were just rougher, and he said, I'm thinking about getting some tats and piercings. And I said to him, that's a lifelong choice, sweetie, and I don't want any backgammon pieces in your ears or anything, because you can never recover from that, right? So I said, I'll tell you what. I said, rather than go down that permanent route, because you don't know what you're going to want in 5 years, and that's a lifelong decision you're making. And I said, how about you just do whatever you want with your hair? And I'm very conservative, like ultra conservative. And so he grew his hair down to his butt, and he streaked it black, white, and silver. He went for it. So yeah, you got to let some stuff go. Is that the big stuff or the small stuff? Now, if you said my daughter's doing a lot of drugs, then I would have a different opinion. But if she's just cutting her own hair, she's expressing herself. Hair grows back. I don't see that as a big deal at all. What else are you controlling? Like, that's a control issue, right? So yeah, you got to let some stuff go. Do you think in a million years I would have chosen that hairstyle for my son? No. Did I like it? No. Did I ever say anything to him about it? No, I was very, hey, sweetie, you do you. I was proud of him for expressing himself. Just because it wasn't my style doesn't mean it was wrong. But it didn't really fit in with our family. Like, both my ex-husband and I were both super conservative, and our daughter is too. And then my son was like he was gothic too. He outgrew that. But then he did have long hair for a very long time, and I actually liked the long hair. Now it's short. He outgrew that too. How to help them problem solve. Okay, one of my biggest videos ever, when I first went on TikTok, it was one of my, I don't even know if I've got a pin there, I don't know. Anyways, it was how to raise problem solvers, and it got like 4 million views. I was shocked at that. I don't think anyone cared about that. But anyway, that's what this is all about. I didn't raise my kids to be obedient little soldiers. Like, what a bore. Like, how awful. I don't want that. I wanted them to make good choices. That's what I wanted. And in order to do that, they have to be problem solvers, right? So a very basic example of this is, if I do something bad, I know exactly what mom's going to do about it. So they problem solve. They wouldn't do it because they knew 100% mom would come in with a consequence, right? Hey, I didn't like that. Here's the consequence. You can mow the lawn, clean my car, whatever. So they're problem solvers. Plus, here's what my mom did with me. I was really little, I'm not going to remember this. I go, Mom, I got a problem. What should I do? And she goes, well, what is it? And I would tell her, and then I'd say, what should I do? And she goes, well, you're a smart girl. You can figure it out. And I was little. I can remember being really little when she used to talk to me like that. She never talked down to me. She always talked to me like that. And then we'd talk about it. And I always thought I was coming up with my own solutions. She was feeding me some ideas, but she never told me what to do. And I didn't do that with my kids either. I wanted them to solve their own problems. I didn't, because the more you tell them what to do, the more they're going to rebel when they're teenagers. So that's why my teenagers didn't rebel. My son even said he had nothing to rebel against. I was too reasonable and easy to talk to. How can you rebel against that? You can't rebel against a leader. It just doesn't happen. So yeah, problem solving is huge. Because yeah, my kids would come to me, what should I do? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know everything. What do you think you should do? And then we'd talk about it. Next thing you know, they've got their own, and I'd say, yeah, that's a good idea. What I might do is this, but you got a couple options there. What do you think you're going to do? So that's how I talked to them. I never really told them what to do. Yeah. And then if they'd come to me and they did something I thought was stupid and they realized was stupid, this is how I would talk to them. I would say, well, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age. Like, in other words, we're all going to make mistakes. Big deal. They were never disrespectful or rude or anything, but they sometimes did dumb things like everybody does. But I'd say, yeah, that was stupid. So here's a story about what I did. So you see, it's okay to make mistakes. My son is 3.5, is having a hard time learning how to be gentle with his 5-month-old sister. It's not aggressive, though. I would actually have boundaries set for him. I would say, if you're going to touch your sister, this is how you can do it. Okay, you can only touch her. You can't, if she's in the, I don't know what they're all called now, all the little seats or whatever that they can sit in, all the bouncy things, that's fine. But if she's sitting up at that age, she might be sitting up, right? So say you can't touch her when she's sitting up because she'll go tumbling backwards. So do a little like a little course with him and show him what he can do and what he can't do. And say, and if I ever see you do anything outside of that, it's too rough for her, there will be a consequence. We all learn through consequences. So put that on the board and say, stay within the boundaries of how to treat your sister on the behavior board. That's free up in my link up there. So the behavior board is. So his rule is treat your sister according to the list we made or the lessons we went through, and then have a list of what he can and can't do with his little sister. Make it very, very clear. And if he doesn't follow that, then there's a consequence. He'll learn. Okay. My 3-year-old is becoming very demanding and throws huge fits when not getting her way. Ignore it. Okay. That means you're not a leader, and they figured that out because at 3, they often find their power. If you're the leader, they don't do that. So it just means you got to double down and work on your leadership skills. That's all it is. If you want to get my course, it's called Get Respect in 5 Weeks. It's linked up above there. It goes through everything. 3 to 12-year-old is the age that refers to. So if you're interested in that, sets you up as a leader, and it goes through all sorts of different things. It's 5 weeks. If you're interested in that. But yeah, he's just found his power. He's realized you're not a leader. That's exactly what's happened. They start to reason at 3, and by 3 3/4, they're getting good at it. So between 3 and 3 and 9 months, that's what I've always noticed. Years ago, I used to say they become reasonable, or that you can reason with them, and they're like 3 3/4. And then the professionals used to say, no, it's 5 years old. Then they'd come out and say, no, it's 2.5. Now I read about a year ago, I looked it up again, and all the professionals say it's 3 and 9 months. So I've been saying that for 50 years. It's 3 years and 9 months is when I really noticed. You know what happens? They realize they're not the only people in the world. They realize, oh, other people have feelings, and they may say they get it, but they really start to understand that when they're 3 3/4. So yeah, he's just found his power because you don't have it. So once you set yourself up as a leader, that just won't happen. I bet. Okay. Yeah. You're not going to like this answer. Oh, hi, Annie. Good evening from Florida. Hi, Florida. One of my favorite cleaning people is Jessica Tull. She lives in Florida. I love her, like the way she cleans. She lets her house get really messy, though. Like I maintain clean. But what she does is it gets so filthy, like her house does, and she is just a phenomenal cleaner. And then it looks beautiful. Then she lets it get messy again. And so she has a very different style than me, but she's probably overall a better cleaner than I am. But yeah, I love her, and she's in Florida, so I always think of her when I hear Florida. I don't know anything. I mean, I'm not, what do you call that? I'm not pushing her. I don't know anything about her, but anyway, yeah, she's great. My best friend's son, you're going to hate this answer. My best friend's son attempts to start fights with my son. She does nothing. What can I do? Say, what are we going to do about our kids not getting along? See what she says. If she doesn't take any action, say, I'll tell you what, our kids can't get along. How about we just get together without them? I've lost friends over that. There's no way I would let my kids get beat up by other kids. I've actually lost friends over that. But I've only lost friends where we were just play date friends. You know what I mean? We just get together with our kids. But otherwise, if I had friends who their kids weren't nice, because my kids were very gentle, they would never defend themselves even physically, because I just don't like that stuff. So, but yeah, I would just dump those friends. I just would. But yeah, see what she says. Don't say don't point the fingers at her son. Say they don't get along. Word it like that. Be very careful. She doesn't sit still at circle time, and that was an issue with the camp leader. Well, I don't know what's going on at camp. Like, if you're a leader at home, they care. By the time they're 3.5, usually they carry your leadership umbrella everywhere. What I mean by that is once they've got that utmost respect for you as their parent, their mentor, their leader, they respect everybody because they become that type of a person because you're respecting them. So they just learn that. So yeah, but I don't know. That sounds like I don't know what's going on there. I can't answer that. My daughter is 3 and has some odd things. Is that normal? I don't know what you mean by odd things. I don't know. I always think I've heard everything, and I think it was last year that something came up I'd never heard of, and it was quite unusual. And it was something, and we came up with a plan. But I had actually, and this kid had been, in therapy and seeing psychologists, psychiatrists, but it was something I had actually never heard of before. And it was really interesting. That is so rare. I always have heard everything. I don't say that anymore. I do probably, but I always think of this kid. And it was just fascinating. It was something I'd never heard of. No, I'll never say what it is because it was a client, right? But yeah, it was really interesting. I'll tell you what, that parent, who, if this parent's watching, would know, was one of the brightest people. I think that parent was a scientist or something, was one of the smartest people I've ever talked to, that parent. Yeah, made me feel like a total moron. Just so bright. You know how some people, you can just tell, they're just brilliant. But yeah, it was a very interesting sessions. I really enjoyed it, actually. Oh, she gets upset real quick about the little, well, how old is she? She's at camp. How old is she and what? Oh, OCD. Did I read that wrong? Probably. Oh, it is. Oh, because it was just sitting where my strap is here. I see it. Sorry about that. It's 3 and has some OCD thing. Is that normal? Okay. Well, my daughter has OCD, and it wasn't diagnosed until COVID hit. And her OCD manifests itself with safety, which makes perfect sense. Her whole life, she was always worried about mom. Mom, make sure you come home. Make sure you wear your seatbelt. Make sure. Makes perfect sense now. She's told me I'm allowed to say she has OCD because it can help other people. But yeah, that often manifests itself later on. So she might have OCD. My daughter is very high functioning. It's not like she's not functioning. COVID was tricky. But yeah, she's doing just fine in life. So yeah, could be just a light, something in life. And it's not something you can get rid of, evidently. It's something that you learn how to manage. Like they do exposure therapy. So if you're afraid of flying, they take you flying. Whatever you're afraid of, they make you do. So, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know about the 3-year-old having that. I don't know. Like, I don't think there's much you can do about it, to be honest. But yeah, she was always very concerned, very much a mummy's girl, and she was very concerned with my safety from a very young age. And it now makes sense. She's 28 now. She got upset that she could sit with her friend. So in other words, she wants everything her way. She wants to win. She wants everything her way. Do you cater to her? Are you the pleaser parent style? That's what that says to me. She used to getting her own way at home. I'm guessing. Yeah, if she's disrespecting, you're not a leader. If she's disrespecting a camp leader, you can't be a leader. It just doesn't make any sense. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, their behavior is just a direct result of your parenting. So past the age of about 3 to 3.5. Before that, toddlers are just crazy. They're going to do what they're going to do. That's actually my least favorite age. They're all feet, no brains. So it's the most physical age. And my back's not as bad now, but I did break my back when I was young. I've had surgery, but chasing toddlers around, picking them up all the time, it was very hard on my back. So it was my least favorite age. Physically, it was really, I was very fit, but I still can't lift a lot of weight. Anyway, what was I talking about? Who knows? Odd things. Yeah, I read stuff wrong. I had LASIK eye surgery, but it's just, sometimes I just don't get the phone. Like right there, I can't hardly see it, and now it's fine. Okay. Okay, 13-year-old terror. Well, that's my favorite thing, right? I work with that every day. Attitude, not necessarily 13-year-old, but teenager. Attitude, rude, selfish, help. Okay, you're going to have to hire me if you want my help with that. I have to assess where you came from and where you are now, and then we decide where you're going to go. I need to know how you got where you are, what you're doing right now, and then where to go. I can't even guess what I'd say. First session's usually pretty standard with parents of teenagers, but I can't tell you. You'll never hire me if I tell you what I'm going to tell you to do. This is some damage control that we have to do first. It's really, really important. It just is. And parents fight me on it. Not so much anymore because I'm older. I've been doing this for 17 years. When I was younger than clients, they sometimes would argue with me on this, but they do it. Then they realize why afterwards. But yeah, anyway, I'm just warning you. I'm here to get your results. That's what I'm here for. Okay. Oh, gosh. She has OCD type behavior. She will get new toys, set them up, and then never want to touch them. That's me. I'm not OCD, by the way. That's me. I like everything to be perfect, and then I never want to use it. I'm 62. I'm getting better at using stuff now, but pretty much everything I've got, like my ex-husband was over one day and he says, is that old couch? Like we had this couch for 30 years, right? Or it's 30 years old. And he said, is that the old couch? It's like perfect because I condition it. It's leather. I condition it. That's why it's so dated looking. I would never buy that now, but I hate throwing anything out. And it's, so I look after everything. I like everything to look pristine and perfect all the time. So is that OCD? I always thought I was OCD. And then when my daughter got it, I realized I'm not. The thing is, it doesn't cause emotional distress if it's not perfect. I just don't like it. There's a difference. It's a different level of discomfort. Yeah. So I don't know if you should worry about that, but I'm telling you, that was me. I used to set everything up, all my toys up, and then I didn't want to touch them. So I used to do that. I enjoyed just looking at them all perfect. I'd set up all my Barbies, and then they'd all be sitting perfectly. The dresses would all be set up perfectly, and then a friend would come over and mess everything up. That's funny. So yeah, I relate to that. I'm not OCD. Really, I'm not. I truly thought I was, but I'm not. Okay. I've got an 18-month-old that hits a lot. I have a course on that. It's called Toddlers, Biting, Hitting, Etc. course. It's $29. My mini toddler courses are $29. And it goes through all that, what you do. But basically what you do is it's consistent corrective actions. It's not words. Every time they bite or hit or do anything like that, you say no, and then there's a consistent corrective action. You remove them, remove the other kid, remove the toy every single time. And they'll learn through repetition, so it might be 100 times. Usually over a week, you can sort that out. Oh, I love this question. I'm going to try and write that down because I want to do a video on that. It's from Rebecca. Once you give a consequence and they are grumpy, do I just move on and be happy with them and ignore the grump? Absolutely. My best example of that, how would I word that for a video? What if they're grumpy what if they're grumpy after they get a consequence? Okay, just let me write that down. Oh, come on. Just a sec here. Because I got to do a video on that one. It's a good one. It's not, I don't care if they're grumpy, but I'll explain why it's so important. What you do is so important. It's leadership. If you let that get under your skin, they win. It takes away from the whole leadership. Oh, come on. Jeez, that's slow. What if they're grumpy after a consequence? Sorry, it's because I'm doing a live on YouTube at the same time on my computer. What if they're grumpy after a consequence? Put grumpy, like Humpty Dumpty. Anyway, okay, so let's say you hand out a consequence. I'm going to use an example of, let's say you did 24-hour media blackout, okay? You had to go there. So my behavior board's linked above there. It's free. And there's always 2 consequences for the kids. You start with a positive action. If they won't do that, then you do the negative deprivation. So you say, okay, you broke the rule, so you're going to have to mop the floor. I'm not mopping the floor. Fine, 24-hour media blackout starts now. Okay, I'll mop the floor. Too late. 24-hour media blackout just started 5 seconds ago. So you'll know next time. Okay, now they're having a fit. They're grumpy, whatever. So this is me. I'm just ignoring the grump for sure. But as soon as they've calmed down, I don't talk to them when they're all grumpy and disrespectful. As soon as they calm down, I would do 24-hour media blackout with them. I don't say that, but I do, because you're not gonna pick up your phone and go, oh, I love this video. You're not gonna do that. You're gonna do 24-hour media blackout with them, right? You say, hey, look, I'm not gonna do screens either. How about we play a game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Fine, never mind. Wait till they calm down an hour later. Ready for that game yet? But you ignore the grump. But as soon as they've calmed down, remember, I always say you ignore the crazy and reward the calm. Playing a game with you is not a reward, but it's sort of you're interacting on a very pleasant way. You see what I'm saying? So you're showing leadership with that. You're completely ignoring the grumpy. What they say, what they do, they're huffy, they're walking the other room. You're like this. Could care less how they react to that. Give them that dignity of showing you they're mad at you. Give them that. Just let them do it. I never address attitude. That makes you look weak. Yeah, you don't address attitude. That's on them. Their attitude changes when you're a leader. As soon as you're a leader, the bad attitude goes away. It just does. It just does. And then when they're teenagers, they could be moody, but that's different from having a bad attitude. It's just different. They can be moody and lazy and selfish when they're teenagers, but that's different. They usually are moody and lazy and selfish when they're teenagers. That's normal. I would say that's probably one of the biggest things with parents of teenagers is they just don't understand teenagers. I won't go into it, but they're going through a lot. Hormones, growing, social stuff, learning who they are. I mean, it's a lot. Last thing they're thinking about is taking out the garbage. Playing a game is like making a connection with them. That's what leadership's all about. You're connecting with them, right? You're showing them, yeah, I still love you, but I'm ignoring the crazy. And as soon as you calm down, I'm trying to connect with you because I love you. I want to connect with you. I want to bond with you. I want to have fun with you. That's what you're showing. They may never play that game. I don't care what they do. I only care what you do. You're always inviting them in. Okay? You're showing them. You're showing them that you love them and that you want to spend time with them. That's what you're doing. I would say 99.9% of parenting is connecting with your kids. This leadership stuff I teach, the discipline is like a tiny little part of it. The majority of it is connecting with them. If you look at that behavior board, it's free on my little link up above there, and you look at that, it's completely free. And your consequence, if you yell, your rule is no yelling if you yell. And then your consequence is you have to do something with them for 30 minutes, like leapfrog or, go for a bike ride with them, play basketball. You have to spend time with them. So it's bonding. With teenagers, when we first start on the first week, is usually the first 2 weeks with teenagers when I'm coaching them, the parents. And the first 2 weeks is just about breaking down defenses and working on reciprocity. You're working on it. You're building up to something. Then by the third week, you can start to address something that you want to change with them. But you got to build reciprocity, trust, start building respect before you do that. With little ones, you discipline to get respect. With teenagers, you got to get some respect before you can even consider disciplining. You can start with discipline if you want, but can you let me know how that goes? I'd love to hear. If it works, let me know. If it doesn't, I've heard it all before. Playing a game is like making a connection with them. Absolutely. But when you're connecting with your kids, you always do it in their world. You don't bond with a 3-year-old at the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with that 3-year-old. Do you see what I mean? You always connect with them in their world. You don't take them to the park and sit down on your phone and watch them. That's not what I'm talking about. You get on that swing with them. You roll down the hill with them. You get in their world. And too often parents do this. They say, I'm with them all the time. I watch them play. That's not what I'm talking. I didn't do that. I was the mom rolling down the hill with the kids. I was crazy. Oh, I did it like twice and then I wanted to throw up. I'm not good at that stuff. But I was in their world. That's how you connect with them. That's part of leadership and mentorship and all that. They want to please you because they like themselves. They like the fact that you've entered their world. Isn't that the utmost in respect? If you entered their world, like I would never say to a child, use your words. God, I hate that. It's so patronizing. In other words, find your inner adult. You're not good enough as a kid. You find your inner adult. Be more like me. Use your words. In other words, use my words. That's what you're saying to a child. God, I hate that saying. Whoever invented that is just ludicrous. Use your words. Are you freaking kidding me? They are. They're communicating in their world. They are communicating perfectly with who they are. Don't tell them they're not even effective at that. That's that self-regulating emotions crap. I hate that garbage. Teach your children how to regulate their emotions by talking to them about tantrums and everything. What you're doing is you're trying to help them find their inner adult. They don't have that yet. It's just such garbage. I find it really frustrating because it's so trendy and so popular right now. And I know where it goes. I got those clients after they've been doing that for a couple of years. And we have to erase all that stuff. It's frustrating because it just is awful and it's so trendy right now. I know why it's popular. It makes moms feel good about themselves when they're trying to have therapy sessions with their kids. I get it. It's like, well, use your words and how do you feel? And that's not for them. It's for you. It's not for them. Yeah, I do get very frustrated. Sorry about that. It just bothers me because every single day I deal with this. Well, our kids are just walking all over us. I say, what have you been doing? I already know exactly what they've been doing. It's all the mini therapy sessions. Yeah, but how do we pivot? Just keep watching me. You can buy my course. I have a Get Respect in 5 weeks. That's for 3 to 12-year-olds, or just keep watching me, or you can hire me. We switch it all around because, okay, there's two different, very distinct parenting styles out there, and I'm going to exaggerate to get my point across. The old-fashioned authority figure, my way or the highway, I'm the parent, I know best. You do what I say. That one builds resentment in the teen years, okay, big time. But they usually come out the other end and they kind of respect you for how you parented. On the other hand, this trendy style that's out right now, it's been out now for, I think, about 30 years now. I remember when it first came in, I thought, oh my God, we're in for trouble. Anyway, I saw it coming, and it came in, and it's the please your parent, the participation awards. We don't want them to ever be disappointed. We want to explain everything to them. We want them to explain everything to us. Those parents tend to yell more than any other parent does. The pleaser parents yell more than the authority parents do. They are the ones that they build teenagers who walk all over them, and they build self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. You're not building strength. You're not building respect. You're trying to roll out the red carpet to make everything easy for them. You know, you're trying to fight to get them in the good class with a good teacher. I would never do that. My kids both went through a real rotten teacher. I won't say what grade in case they're watching. But yeah, no, none of the parents liked her. She should not have been a teacher. She didn't like kids. I was glad when my kids got her because I thought, great, you're going to have a bad boss one day too. It's good. I didn't want to protect them from life. You know, I wanted to strengthen them up. I wanted them to have resilience. So yeah, anyway, these pleaser parents tend to be walked all over in the teen years, and they tend to yell more than any other parent. I'm the leader. I don't do either one of those. I'm the leader. I'm like a mentor. Like I'm there to guide my kids to make good decisions. Plus, I want to be best friends with my kids, which I was. I wanted to have fun with them. I wanted to get all that pesky discipline out of the way and we could just relax and have fun, which we did. There's the odd little hiccup, but they were very rare. So that's the leadership stuff I teach. And all my clients, they all, almost all of them, not true. Some of them are authorities, but most of them are the pleaser parent. So yeah, and they turn it around. What's interesting is when that behavior board's introduced and the kids realize that the parents are going to be disciplined too, the kids usually love it. And sometimes the parents will say, oh, we're just going to get rid of this. They'll get frustrated with themselves, and the kids have actually gone in the garbage and put it back up again. They like that. You know why? Because they want a leader. They crave it. They need it. And once they see you start to become a leader, they don't want to let that go. They love that stuff. So all kids need, want, and crave a leader. They just do. Oh, and by the way, it's not a pivot. It's a slow, gradual learning curve. In that course, it's 5 weeks to get respect. The first 3 weeks are 3 different behavior boards. You'll have 3 of them up by week 3. Then we pull away from that a bit more and you do in-the-moment disciplining. But the whole time, it's focused on bonding with your kids, becoming a really good listener, bonding with them, okay? Think about it this way. Did you ever have a really good sports coach that you just loved, that brought out the best in you? Did you ever talk back to him? Did he have rules? Yeah. You can't cheat in the game. If you do, you're sitting on the bench for an inning. But didn't you want to please him? He was fun. He had rules. He had consequences. But you see, it's kind of like that. You really, kids liked him. Kids, you like that coach. That's the style of parenting I think is the most common. It's not like a teacher. It's not like a grandparent. It's not like anything, but most like a coach, I would say. A really good sports coach who loves kids and makes the kids follow the rules, makes them try their hardest and be respectful, that kind of thing. But the kids want to please that. When you're a really good leader, kids want to please you. It's just the way it is. But it's mutual. Like if my kids had ever said to me, I'm not happy with you, Mom, I would have died. I would have said, what? What? It would have killed me. I was very accountable with my kids. It was very, very mutual. But I was in charge. They need a leader. I was the parent. That's your job, to be a leader. They don't need middle-aged friends. That's just a byproduct of leadership. Once you get good at this stuff, the friendship is just an organic thing that happens. And you can be friends, but you're always that parent first. That's your number one role. Even though my kids are 33 and 28 and we're just friends, and I never tell them what to do. It's none of my business. They lead their own lives. But I'll tell you, if they were in trouble or anything, I'd dive off a cliff to save them. Like I'm still mom before I'm anything else. And that's your number one role. Not mom if you're a dad. Dad is, you know what I mean. But pleaser parents say they don't shout, they discuss and talk. That's not what they tell me. Yeah, they do put on that front, yes, but they generally are yellers because the pleaser parent doesn't get respect at all. It's very rare, unless you have a really easy kid. Like my daughter, anyone could have raised her. She would have been easy, but she wouldn't have had as much confidence and strength, I don't think, if I hadn't sort of guided her along a little bit stronger. But yeah, she was a very easy kid. But yeah, I know what they say. I know exactly what they say. And some of my clients have taught that stuff and have hired me. When the kids get older, it backfires. Okay. When they reach about anywhere from 6 to 9, you start to see the difference then. Okay. How can you stop watching TV? So media, you got problems with media management. Okay, there's 3 different methods to manage screen time or media time. 2 of them are okay, but I don't really like them. The third one I love. And I've got lots of videos on that if you want to look that up. Anyway, the one most people do is every day you can have screen time for an hour. That's okay. Or every day you can have screen time between this certain time. So they have like a time zone every single day the kids can watch TV. That's okay. I don't like either one of them though. What I would do is, let's say we'll use this as an example. I'm not setting this time for you, but just as an example, because with the math, I can figure it out. So let's say you decide, okay, you've got 10 hours a week for screen time, except family movie night. That doesn't count because you're all doing that together. So you got 10 hours a week, any screens. So it's all accumulates 10 hours a week. You decide when that is. That means 600 minutes. I'm going to put a big graph up here, 600 minutes. I'm going to keep track of all the minutes. So then when the time is used up, if you use it all up on Thursday, you've got no screens Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you can't bank it. You can't save hours for the next week. Okay. But yeah, I like that one because you don't want to be micromanaging. You want to teach them how to manage themselves, right? That's about the problem solving, right? And we talked about that. You want to give them sort of, here's the way life is. Now you figure it out. Like you got to be ready for school at a certain time. We're heading out that door. I remember one time my son was about 10 or maybe a bit older. He might have been 12 even. And he was running late for school. And I said, well, we leave at 8:30 every morning, whether you're dressed or not. So we go out the front door and I hear he runs out after me, like he had to get out because I'm opening up the door and closing it behind me. He had to get out in that certain time. So I was loving this, by the way. My daughter was cracking up. So my son hair was stuck up everywhere. He was just running late for no good reason either. It wasn't a good reason. So anyway, he gets in the car in his pajamas and he had his uniform in his hand. And I said, and he was going to get dressed on the way to school. So I said, I do not want to see that seatbelt loosen at all. He completely got dressed, like without even loosening the seatbelt, pants, everything. We were all cracking up. So yeah, and that was up to him to make sure, like I didn't micromanage my kids. I didn't say, okay, have you had your breakfast? Have you done that? They just knew we left at 8:30 and that was it. You see, I don't repeat myself. I don't boss them around. I don't do any of that. But yeah, that was a very funny day. It was a great ride to school. I mentioned that to him a while ago, and he said, I don't even remember that. But then he probably remembers stuff I don't either. So is a bit of yelling okay? No. Oh, no. Never. You never yell. Ever. Yelling, okay, most parents yell. So you put no yelling on the behavior board. So if you do, you have to be punished for it. And then you said, if I said something the 5th time, I don't say anything twice. I say it once, and then I take action. Oh, well, that wasn't done, so there'll be a consequence for that. But I didn't hear you. I said it loud enough. You chose not to listen. So the consequence is this. That's how I talk. My kids would have gone, oh, sorry, Mom. Like, yeah, I don't repeat myself. So, yeah, it's a package, though. It's like you ask me these questions, and then there's this and that. It's all a package that goes together. Like it's all, if you want that course, it explains everything. It's a 5 weeks to get respect. It's a course I've got out now. And if you've got a 3 to 12-year-old, and it explains everything. It's a package. You start small. You learn 1 rule per week. Then by week 3, you got 3 rules that you're working on. You're starting to get respect. You're starting to feel the shift. You're starting to feel more like a leader. Then we go away from the behavior boards and we go into in the moment disciplining. And all this time you're bonding with them, you're playing with them more, you're interacting more as a family, and it just, it's a process. It would be like saying, how do I diet? Well, you just eat more fruit. Yeah, but if you're still eating ice cream and potato chips, you're not going to lose any weight. See, it all goes together. It's like a package. That's why sometimes I'll get hired by people and they'll say, I've tried what you said and it didn't work. And I'll say, well, okay. I'll say, well, what did you try? And they said this or that. And then I say, but did you do that? And they say, well, no. But what they've done, this is what a lot of people do. And I'm guilty of this too with business advice. So I'll look at tons of different people with business advice. They all run their businesses and it's like a method. If you were to throw other people's ways into their method, it wouldn't work. It's like that with parenting. Like if you were going to throw timeout into my leadership parenting, it would tank. I think timeout's humiliating and mean. I hate it. So, and I teach respect, right? So if you were to throw timeout or any of this, use your words, any of that garbage into my methods, it wouldn't work. Okay, it just wouldn't, because it's meant to be used as a package. So I always say, if you're going to follow me and you want to change, you want to become a leader, you got to try it for at least 3 weeks and just commit to it. But don't watch other parenting experts. And also, if you're going to watch them, don't watch me, because what we teach is meant to be used as a package, right? You can't pick and choose what you like from different people. It just doesn't work. It's like dieting. You don't go to Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and then expect to lose weight. It's meant to be used as a package. Does that make sense? That's why a lot of clients come to me. They say, we've tried everything, but they're trying my methods, other people's. They're putting it all together in this big sort of a collage, and it just doesn't work. Is it normal for an almost 6-year-old to say, Mommy doesn't love me to another adult? Yeah, absolutely. If they're mad and you're doing something they don't like, yeah, they're going to say that as a manipulative tactic. Usually they say that. Yeah, it's usually manipulation. Nora, you've been here before. Yeah, it's just manipulation. Like if a kid had said that to me, I've worked with kids. My kids never said anything like that. But because I got respect when they were little. I was a leader when they were little. So we did. By the time they were talking, they didn't say stuff like that. Anyway, whenever I was working with the kids and they'd say something like this and they'd say, I hate you. And I'd go, whatever. Like I could have cared less because I was laying down the law with them. I had rules and they've never had rules before. Whereas all of a sudden I have rules. And then they'd test me initially, only initially, right? And they'd say, oh, you're awful. I have whatever. Like, don't let them get under your skin. And then they kind of go like this. Oh, that didn't work. Like, because they're used to that working. Okay, I did your board and they literally don't care. I've done the consequences. You're missing something. There's something a little bit off there. I don't know what age they are, how you started it, what rule you have on there, what consequence you have on there, and what else are you doing? Are you still yelling without being, there's a whole bunch of different things. You might want to hire me and see if. Yeah, because sometimes people say, I did everything you say and it's not working. They're just doing something wrong. There's just something wrong. There's just something a little bit off. And in coaching, I could figure that out. Consequences for a 4-year-old. If you go to the behavior board, I got a whole bunch of examples in there. When my 7-year-old says, you're nasty, should I ignore it? Okay, saying that when he's mad and he says, you're nasty, I don't like the word nasty. I would probably say something like this. I'll tell you what, that's kind of almost like name calling. So we're going to put that on the behavior board. Say, don't name call people. So I'd actually put that on. I wouldn't show that I was upset about it. I say that's kind of name calling. So I'm going to put no name calling on the behavior board, and there'll be a consequence if you do it. Why have I got an alarm going? Why is my alarm going? Do you ever do that? You get an alarm and you go, well, I'm going to have to look on my calendar now. No, I don't know why my alarm went. But I'm very organized. Oh, I know. Yeah. Someone's coming over tonight and I canceled something I was going to be doing soon. Okay, that's why. There we go. It was for what I was going to be doing. Oh, my screen froze, did it? Oh. I'm plugging it in. I must be losing battery. There we go. Sorry. Is it okay now? My screen froze, evidently. Yeah, it does that. Because I talk so much and then I don't plug my phone in because I've used my phone a lot today. So it must have been low in battery. I usually plug it in when I do a live, but I forgot to this time. Sorry about that. Oh, it froze because my alarm went off. That was why. Yeah, because it's not low in battery. So, okay, never mind. Never mind. God, I'm dopey. Oh, what did I do the other day? I said something so stupid. Do you ever say something really stupid and then the person looks at you weird and then they walk off and then you go, oh, shoot. And then you don't get a chance to. Oh, I'm going to tell you this funny story. You're mostly mums on here, right? This is really embarrassing. I was at the doctor and I have had fasciotomies on my legs, both legs. I work out a lot and I'd worked out so much, I blew out my calf muscles and I had to have surgery on both of them. I mean, usually only football players get that, but I used to work out a lot. I'm old now, I don't work out as much. Anyway, so I have these weird scars on my legs and they're fasciotomies. That's the surgery, is fasciotomy. Anyway, so I'm talking to my doctor and he notices these scars, and any doctor who's seen those scars on the legs knows what they are. And he said, did you have compartment syndrome? Because it's so rare for someone who looks like me to have it. It's usually big football players. It takes a lot of power to get compartment syndrome. That's how much I used to work out. Anyway, so he says to me, did you have compartment syndrome? And I said, yes. I said, those scars are from the episiotomies I got on my legs. And he looked at me all weird. He didn't say anything. And so I left and I'm driving home and I don't know why. And I'm driving home and it dawned on me. I thought, oh, I said episiotomies instead of fasciotomies. And I didn't know, you don't go back to your doctor and say, by the way, the reason I said that. How humiliating. I'm going to tell you one more funny story and then I'll answer another question. And I got to run. This story was the same doctor. I was in Australia. Anyway, and so he was telling me this story. He was doing a pap smear on me. Sorry if you're a man, sorry. But anyway, so, and I was joking around about, whatever. So I was joking around. He told me this story. This woman thought she was in a rush. She was going to have a pap smear with him. Sorry about this if you're a man. But anyway, and it's still a funny story. So she grabbed this canister, which she thought was feminine hygiene spray, which you're not supposed to use. But anyway, she grabbed this. And then when she got to the doctor, he was looking at her kind of weird. And he didn't say anything. Finally, he said, oh, well, I see you got all fancied up for me. And she said, what do you mean? She had grabbed the wrong can. She grabbed her daughter's hairspray, glitter hairspray. And she was all glittered up down there. Didn't even know it. Anyway, I don't know why I told you that story. Crazy. Actually, I'm going to tell that story on my private one. I think that's funny. I might get kicked off of TikTok, but I don't care. TikTok glitter hairspray. How embarrassing would that be? Mine wasn't nearly as embarrassing as that. But at least she got to laugh at him while she was there with him. Mine was too late. Okay. Oh, has anyone here done courses or coaching? So my courses in coaching, I don't tend to put that information on, what's that called? When people talk about you. I'm very uncomfortable doing that. I've got a couple that are really, really old, but I don't tend to do that. So yeah, if anyone's, what's that called when they put, can't remember. I got a bunch of nice emails, but I can't show you those. Anyway. Said, I work with children 4 to 9. That's an unusual age to work with, 4 to 9. What do you do, Desiree? Oh, my toddler course. My big one isn't out yet. No, I've been super, super busy. What do you do, Desiree? I'm curious. You work with 4 to 7. It's just a funny age range. What do you do with 4? Is it like a dance class or something? Or no, even that wouldn't be. What do you do where you work with 4 to 9-year-olds? It's just an unusual age. I could see 6 to 11-year-olds even, but 4 to 9. I'm just curious. Am I still frozen on TikTok, Nora says. Why would I be? Still frozen. Am I back yet? Am I still frozen? Am I still frozen? Am I still frozen on here? I must be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this. Sorry, YouTube. Turn off and start again. Yeah, I'm doing that. I don't know what happened there. That's never happened. Thanks, Nora. That's why I'm on YouTube. I knew something was going on. I just didn't know what it was because no one was asking questions. And they were talking to themselves, not me. Something's going. Okay. I don't know if people will come back in. And they were dropping out too, so. Hello, I froze on the other live. So am I not frozen or am I frozen here? Well, there's no point asking you if I'm frozen because you won't be able to hear me anyway. So am I not frozen? Can you hear me? Am I talking? Because Nora on YouTube told me, oh, good. Okay, thanks. Okay. I didn't want to end it like that or just, I'm frozen. So I just thought I'd come back and answer a few more questions. And Nora on YouTube told me I was frozen. So thanks, Nora. I appreciate that. Great. Okay. So I'll just do a couple more questions and then I'll wrap it up. I might wait till a few more people come in. Yeah, I just got out because it was frozen. That's all. I don't know why. Gee, I really want to show you something I made, but I can't yet because she hasn't got the gift yet. I do a lot of sewing for kids and babies and stuff. So I made something I really like today. I can't show it to you actually. Oh, I know. I've got a video I'm going to do on my personal channel. I've already shot the video, but I made something really cute today. I'm just going to freeze for a second while I turn my alarm off. I had to go turn my alarm off. I should be back now. Sorry about that. I don't know why all these technical things are happening. I just went to turn my alarm off, and then when you do that, you lose. So can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Am I back? Frozen again. Can you hear me now? I can hear. Good. Okay. The synthetic wig. Synthetic wig. Is there something? I have no idea. Sometimes people just come on here and say stuff that has nothing to do with anything, and then I'll ask it and look like an idiot, and that's why they're here to do that. I'm a bit dopey with that. Okay, great. Okay. Does discipline start as early as 6 months? Yes and no. Okay. Yeah, like if they're biting their own arm or something, you're gonna go, no. You only say no to the point where you get their attention and they look at you seriously. You never say no to the point where you make them cry. Although I did that with both my kids when they bit me on the boob, when they're breastfeeding. So you scream at them, like, yo, you just scream. They both ended up crying, but that was not yelling at them, but just screaming out in pain. But yeah, you never want to make them cry, but you just go, no, and they're watching you, right? And then they go to do it again. They're going to keep doing stuff at that age. But yeah, by the time they're about 10 to 14 months, they can really pick up on your energy. They can pick up on, because they kind of want to please you, but not much, like not till later. They're about 3, they really want to please you, but when they're under that, they're just going to try stuff. They might even go like that and smear poop on the wall. They're just going to do stuff. Toddlers are crazy. So you can sort of start this stuff, but yeah, it's not to the point where they cry, if that makes any sense. Remember that commercial back when Can You Hear Me Now? No. What commercial was that? Can you hear me now? Sounds kind of familiar. What commercial was that? But I will tell you something interesting. I was looking after a baby once who was 10 months old, I think. 8 or 10 months old. I always forget. Verizon, can you hear me now? Oh, I don't know. No. I don't remember that one. I was in Australia for 20 years, so I missed out on a whole bunch of stuff that was over here. So it might have been them. Plus Verizon, we're in Canada. I'm in Canada. Yeah, I'm in Canada. So what was I talking? What was I talking? Oh yeah. Years and years ago, a very long time ago, I had 2 babies in front of me. I don't think either one of them was mine for some reason. Anyway, I had 2 babies there, and one of them was a biter. He kept leaning over and biting the other one's head. So I caught the first one and I said, no. And he looked at me, and then he went to do it again. And I said, no. And he was really looking at me, like just like that. And then he went like this. And then he looked at me and didn't even try and bite again. And I was really shocked at that. So he was like about 8 or 10 months old, and he was just, it's more about your face and your no. And then he didn't do it again. I was shocked at that because he was he was always biting other kids. But instead of biting, he looked at me. It's interesting, eh? So that's how young they can learn. I'm sure he was biting after that too. But for the rest of the time I had him, he didn't try and bite again. And that was a very young baby. So I was surprised at that. They process stuff, but babies and little ones and toddlers tend to work more on urges than thinking. So they tend to just do what feels good in the moment. I'm having all sorts of problems today with technology. What the Fruit Loop? Can't get rid of this screen. I can't see any of your questions because my screen's gone all bonks. What is TikTok doing to me? I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, so yeah, babies can learn from a very young age, but it doesn't usually last. It's repetition, repetition, repetition. And you never want to make them cry. Yeah, I can't see your questions. My screen has gone all wonky. Never seen this before. I might just wrap it up. It's just technical difficulties today. How often? I don't think this has ever happened. This has never happened before. So I've been doing lives every day for about 1.5 years now, and it's never happened. Oh, well, sorry about that, people. Really sorry. Anyway, frustrating. What are you doing over summer? Are you keeping your kids busy? Have you got the toy rotation system going so they don't tend to get bored? And when you take them somewhere, do you get in the pool with them or do you sit in the sidelines and watch? So summer's a really good time to bond with your kids. And I can't even end this. I can't even end this because I can't get to my screen. Is that bizarre or what? I have to turn my whole phone off. I don't know. There we go. It just came back. That is really weird. What is it? Now, I don't want to end on that. I just want to keep going so we can end on a happier note. My technical difficulties. This is bizarre. Well, this is too broad of a question. You said their dad is a legit narcissist. How do I correct them for real things when they are desensitized? You think that's a quick TikTok answer? If you want me to try and work through that with you, you'd have to hire me on coaching. I can't answer that in TikTok. Okay, can calm leader parents have kids that do not have time limits on screens? Well, I never did any of that with my kids. What a good question. What SLI asked, is can calm leader parents have kids that do not have time limits on screens? I never had any limits with my kids. They never had curfews, nothing. They never even really had a bedtime. Now, what an interesting question. Why did I not think about that before? I'll tell you why. Because they kind of knew I wanted them in bed by probably 8, right? So they went to bed at 8. No curfews. They'd call me. Oh, is it okay? Can I stay a bit longer? I'm having a good time. Sure. Or no, I'm coming to get you now. They never had. I didn't have that. And then media say, I think you've been on too many screens this week. Let's go to the park. Oh, okay. Yeah, they knew their bedtime was around 8. So if we were chatting, also I never asked them to do homework. My kids were self-disciplining. If you discipline them when they're little, they have self-discipline. I don't mean they discipline themselves like, oh, you were naughty. Yes, I was. Okay, it's not like that. They had self-discipline. So they just knew they just took out the garbage because that's what you do, and they just were ready for school every morning, and they were just all easy. Everything's just easy because there's no headbutting. I didn't micromanage. They knew that if they didn't, plus they also knew that if they didn't sort of do the right thing, then I would come in and say, I'll tell you what, bedtime's around 8 and you've been kind of slagging off a little bit. So why don't we make it a little bit earlier for the next couple nights to get you back in? So they always knew I would come in if necessary, but I never really had, God, it was such a good question. Do you need rules when you're a leader? And I'm going to put down curfew because they never had curfew or anything like that. I would have seen that as disrespectful. Does that make any sense? I would have seen with teenagers giving them a curfew as disrespectful toward them. Does that make any sense? I've actually done a whole video on that. Just look up Bratbusters curfews. My kids are 33 and 28, and I got my first grandchild coming in a few months. So, but yeah, they didn't have curfews. They didn't have really. I'm just trying to think. I have no memory of ever telling my kids to do homework or going to bed. I literally have no memory of that. They just were self-disciplined. They just knew 8's sort of when mom thinks we should be going to bed. They just went to bed. And homework, they would never have watched TV or anything if they hadn't done their homework first. Or they might say, oh, I just don't feel like doing homework. How about, I'll play a video game for a while, and then they would do it. I literally don't remember ever telling them to do homework or go to bed because they were self-disciplined. They had self-discipline. You discipline them when they're really little, and they'll have self-discipline. They'll just make good choices. They learned to do what they needed to do before they did what they wanted to do. That's what self-discipline is. You do what you need to do before you do what you want to do, right? Rules on grades in sports? No. I can read him a story once and he remembers what happens age 3. Oh yeah, absolutely. My daughter, she has a phenomenal memory for some things. She was in grade 1 at this point, and a teacher was freaked out by this. She actually called me and told me about it. She had written a poem when she was a child. She'd never told it to anybody. She found it at home, took it to school. She was young when she wrote it. She took it to her grade 1 class and recited the entire poem. It was long, like 4 or 5 paragraphs. And my daughter said, "Can I tell your poem?" And she got up and said the whole poem. Totally freaked out the teacher. So yeah, they can remember stuff. Some of them do, some of them don't. What if the teenager wants to go to a birthday party till 2 a.m. because you said no curfew? Doesn't mean they can come home whenever they want. I just didn't have a set curfew. I used to say, okay, go have fun. Okay. What I did was I had a rule where they had to call me every 90 minutes if they were out. Past about 10 o'clock, let's say, I guess. I don't remember. Past about 10 o'clock, they had to call me every 90 minutes. And then it was a discussion. Hey, you ready to come home? No. And if I wanted them home, I'd say, no, I'll tell you what, I'm kind of tired. I'm going to come pick you up now. Okay. And then, or they'd call me, but they had to call me every 90 minutes. I was terrified someone would put something in a drink or something. So and a text is no good. They had to call me. And it was like this: hey, I'm fine. Okay, bye. Literally like that. But then if one of us had something to say, hey, can you come pick me up, or can I stay out later tonight? It was like every single night, because you don't know if you're having fun or not, right? Like, I don't want, if I'm going out at night, I don't know if going to want to come home at 9 or 11. I don't know until I'm there, right? So I respected that with my kids. So that's the way it went. And then, because there was so much mutual respect, I would say, look, I'm not feeling very well tonight. Can you just not go out tonight? Unless it was something really important. And then they go, oh, yeah, okay. They didn't like it, but they would stay home. So it was mutual respect, and it was just dealt with in the moment. So yeah, there was no curfew. It was just every 90 minutes. Oh, you still having fun? Yeah. Okay, fine. You can stay out later. And then I put my alarm on my phone. So every 90 minutes I would wake up. And if they didn't call me, then I would call them. And then if they didn't answer, I'd call one more time. If they didn't answer, I'd go pick them up, because I always knew where they were and who they were with. But it never happened. They always called, or they pick up and I called. But it was no, hey, you didn't call me. And it was none of that. It was just, hey, how you doing? Might have been an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, it was sort of up in the air, right? Because we had mutual respect. If you're micromanaging your teenagers, good luck with that. It's not good. Because then when you send them out to college, that's why kids go crazy at college, because they've been micromanaged at home. So you want them to be making good choices when they're home. So by the time they do get some freedom, they don't go crazy with it, right? And be a soft place to land. You always want to be their soft place to land, like be that safe place, that safe zone. My kids told me everything because they could. I never judged them or anything. So yeah, they told me everything. Your life seems so non-chaotic. I'm questioning my whole life. I do have a simple life. I'm very I'm never late for anything. I like things to be pretty organized. So yeah, I do that for myself, for my own sanity. But I'm old too. Like, I'm 62 years old. You can do that when you're older. When I had kids, and it was crazy. My daughter, my God, she loved to be doing everything. We were running from one thing to the other. She loved it. And that's not me. I don't operate very well that way, but she loved it. So when I was raising her, I was running around, driving her everywhere, and which was great. But that's not me. I keep my life simpler. So it may not be that exciting to some people, but I like it this way. Plus, right now, I have no one I have to look after. It's the first time in my whole life that I don't have any kids or animals I have to look after. And I'm really enjoying it right now. So yeah, I've been in the crazy zone. I've been there. That's why, when you get older, you do what you want when you want. Okay. How can we redirect self-discipline for teens if they had it before and then they fell off track? You have to you have to allow them to make some mistakes. And you have to don't micromanage, don't sweat the small stuff, just the big stuff. Say, can we discuss this? Because I'm not too clear on what's happening here. So it's like that. So let's discuss this. And but yeah, I don't exactly know what's going on there. Like, how they're very much more influenced by other people when they're teenagers. They're finding themselves. They're pulling away from you. They can't grow up if they're attached to mom and dad. It's just not the way it happens. That's why they do pull away. They don't want to be around you as much. That's normal. They're separating themselves from you. They don't want to be your kid anymore. They want to be them. You see what I'm saying? They've been your kid for what, 15 years, and now they just want to be them, who they are. It's very important that they separate themselves from you. To a degree, you can still be buddies and all that, but they need more time without you around. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. If you want my help with that, you'd have to hire me. Teen stuff, because it's so complicated. Teen stuff is not simple. Toddler stuff, simple. 3 to 12-year-old, pretty simple. 13 to 18, not so simple. Because outside influences have a lot more power, and that's what gets complicated about it. I do put them in a timeout chair, but I hate timeout, can't stand it. I think it's humiliating, so I don't do that. Yes, the influence is taking over the cell phones and locking in room. Yeah, there's things that you can do, but a lot of times I'm just talking parents of teenagers off a cliff. They think there's something really, I'll tell you what I did with my son. This is how stupid I was. You'll laugh at this. Anyway, now I used to mentor troubled teens. So I had a lot of experience. And my son used to say, he was the funny one. He used to say, he's always coming up with stuff. He used to say, we don't stand a chance after what she's been through. Like, because I mentored troubled teens, so they didn't stand a chance really. Anyway, he was getting moody and just didn't want to hang around mom as much. He was just becoming a man, right? Like one day, I remember this really clearly. He was 14, and every single morning he'd be in the kitchen, and I go, "Morning, sweetie. Morning, mom." You know, it was all great laughter and everything. And then one morning, he was 15. I'll never forget this. I go, "Morning, sweetie," and he turns around and goes, "Morning, mom." He just turned into a man overnight. He got moodier, quieter. He didn't want to talk as much. And I said to him, "Are you doing drugs or anything? Like, you're just so different." "No, I'm just growing up." You know, like he was like annoyed by this. So I ransacked his room. I always said, I'll completely respect your privacy unless I'm worried about your safety. So I completely ransacked his room. He came home and he found me passed out on his bed, covered in all his belongings, because I'd fallen asleep, right? Tore his room apart looking for drugs. I didn't find any. I went underneath the drawers looking for stuff taped everywhere. He opens up his door after school, sees me there, and says, "Well, aren't you a sight?" and walked away laughing. They just change. And how could I have been so stupid, you know? Like when it's your own kid, it's different. Anyway, so yeah, he wasn't doing anything. He was just turning into a man. So yeah, we all do dumb things. Funny. Yeah, teenagers are a different beast. They're my favorite age, to be honest. I find them the most interesting. If you get really good at listening, you listen to understand and show empathy. You do not listen to understand to gather information with and then lecture with. You do not do that. Yeah, the less you talk, the better. Use your ears more than your mouth with teenagers. And they're going to make mistakes. They're going to test you and see what you think about them. Let the small stuff go. Just sweat the big stuff. If you're going to sweat the little stuff, you'll have no sweat left for the big stuff. So just wait it out. Let them make their own mistakes. And when they do, say, yeah, that was stupid. Wait to hear what I did when I was your age. Like, mistakes are okay. Don't criticize them for making mistakes. They're going to make them. If you don't allow them to make small mistakes, they'll probably save it all up and make big ones. You don't want that. So yeah, don't micromanage teenagers. You're making a big mistake because you want them to learn how to guide themselves, right? Yeah. These kids who go crazy at college when they first get away from their parents, they're the ones who they were micromanaged, usually. Okay. Had a lot of technical difficulties, so I'm going to get going now. I've been on here for an hour and a half just because of all the technical difficulties. I really don't know what happened there. But anyway, okay, I've got to go. Thanks so much for joining me. If you go in my link, you can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. You're on that too. That's what makes it different. So anyway, I have to go. We'll talk again tomorrow. Bye now.